Hello, Bruce. We're interviewing today the former and the singer of the Pineapple Thief, a British band from Somerset. They are about to release the new album at the beginning of September on K-Scope. And we want to chat a bit about the album with you, Bruce.
Great. Yeah, happy to do that.
Okay, first question. I want to go really deep into the album from the beginning. The title of the album is quite strong. Versions of Truth. It's not an easy start. With Versions of Truth, you seem to want to launch a warning already from the title. There are many versions of the truth, and all of them can be considered legitimate. It depends on the point of view. It's like the truth is by no means absolute. So a deep, mature, rational, can I say so, approach. But these three adjectives, they fit perfectly with the work of the band general, not just with the album. Can you tell us about the creative process of writing and recording this last album?
Yeah, so we came up with the title when we started writing in October 2018. So it was quite a long time ago, but back then in this country, we were going through Brexit, which was a pretty traumatic time for this country. And it polarized this country terribly. And that was full of lies and distortions of the truth. And I just remember coming up with this title, Versions of the Truth, right at the beginning. And then that really gave us a focus to start. And I remember we wrote about 4 or 5 songs really quickly. It was between sort of October and January into 2019. And the creative process is that, so I would start here in my studio. I'd pick up a guitar that's just over here and see what happens, if I feel inspired. But what's happened recently, since Gavin Harrison has joined, is that he's become a really strong writing partner for me. So I deliberately don't take the song too far. So in the old days, I used to just, I in my studio, I could demo a song right up and give it to the guys, and it would almost be finished. And they would go, well, what do we do? What do we do with this? And which kind of negates the point of having a band, I think. But now, because we've got, especially with Gavin, obviously we know how he's an incredible drummer, but he's also got a really good ear for arranging and for taking songs in different directions. So I deliberately stop. I always finish. I come up with maybe a verse and a chorus or half a chorus, then I send it to Gavin. This is all done online. So Gavin's in his studio and we talk pretty much every day. And I say, I've got this idea, Gavin. I send it over. And if he likes it, he goes, yeah, Bruce, I've got some ideas for this. And he'll do some drumming. He'll chop it up. And then he'll send it back to me. And then I go, oh, wow, that's gone in it's quite an interesting direction. Especially like the very first song on the album, the title track, Versions of the Truth. There's a marimba in that track. And I remember just coming up with the intro and a bit of the verse. And then Gavin sent me back. He says, hey, what do you think, Bruce? And I played it. And it was like, oh, the marimba. And because Gavin's got this big marimba in his studio. And I always looked at it and I thought, I wonder if he ever plays that marimba. And then he did. And I thought, wow, that's the last thing I thought I would hear on a Pineapple Thief song was a marimba. But it worked perfectly well. And that just sums up the creative process. It just goes backwards and forwards. And we seem to be on the same wavelength when it comes to where we want a song to go and what kind of direction and style we like. And then, of course, you've got John and Steve who come in and contribute as well. So I'm happy to admit that it's a band. It's not, no way is it all about me anymore. I'm just a small part of the process. It's now become a really sort of cohesive band creative process, which I really like. And I think it's given the Pineapple Thief a new lease of life over the last couple of years. Sort of given us there's a reason I think why things have sort of gone up quite steeply for the band recently, and I think that's because we've just got it right, and with Gavin joining.
But the lyrics are also so strong. The lyrics are your work. Yes,
the lyrics I think is probably one of the hardest things, and I remember sitting right here laboring over one line, and you think, right, this I've got to get up on stage and I've got to sing this to however many people that are looking at me, and I can't just you can't just write any old stuff down. You can't just go, oh, that'll do. You've got to it's got to be absolutely right. And sometimes I'm there going, that's not right, and I'm there going, and I'll have to go for a walk, or I'll wake up the next day and I go, yes, that's it. And so it can take ages to get those lyrics to work properly. And I think in the early days, I probably didn't give the lyrical content enough attention, whereas now, like you say, it's probably it's equally important as the music.
I read in the promo sheet that, to sum up the essence of the whole lyrics, you quote Tomasi di Lampedusa, the Leopard. Yes. So it's a classic reading here in Italy. We read it at the middle school.
Right.
I couldn't guess it has been read anywhere else outside Italy instead. You quoting it made me jump. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. I mean, it's a classic, but it's also so beautiful. It's incredible. That you're quoting it.
It's a really good quote because it sums up the way that the words sum up the truth in that quote is really, really good.
Yeah. So sometimes songs start with the lyrics, sometimes start with a riff, or.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's an idea. So I'll know that for instance, the title track, Versions of the Truth, I knew what I wanted to sing about. And then the music and the words kind of come at the same time, because I think the words have to work with how the melody and the structure of the song comes. So quite often I'll come up with some words that will work, and then I have to fill it in, and then I work on, the different verses and filling in all the words that aren't there. But it's kind of work. Yeah, it's not like you could just write a load of lyrics and then say, okay, I'm going to put music to that. I know some people do work like that, but I doesn't seem to work for me. That it kind of goes parallel in terms of how I write.
The production of the album also deserves praise because it's homogeneous, warm, never fake, and never excessively sweetened. You may expect. It was a natural process that happened after what you said at the beginning, that you work so well and you're very bonded as a band now. Or it was a rational choice because you didn't want anyone to interfere with your work?
Well, it's a difficult one. I mean, I've learned how to mix just because I've been doing it for an awful long time, and so in the early days, I listened to the quality of the early mixes, and I'm like, oh my goodness, why did I do that? But so over the years, you just learn how to do it. And Gavin, it's really, really good at mixing his drums. So he gives the way Gavin mixes his drums it just sounds like a drum kit. It doesn't sound like this weird thing. It actually sounds like you're stood in front of his drums, and it just sounds like a natural drum kit. So I'm quite happy for him to just mix his drums, and he sends me just a stereo mix of the drums, and then I mix everything around that. But it is nice to have control, and it also means that when we're developing the songs, they almost or just come together. It's always ready to go. It's not like a band that if they have to rely on going to a studio or paying someone else to mix their record, they might have to they might have to do all the work and then start all over again and mix it, or demo it up and then go into a studio and record it properly. But because we can do it, we can almost make it almost ready to go from as all the time as we're writing. And so yeah, it's nice. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't. We've kind of talked about whether we would get a producer. At the moment, it doesn't feel like we need one. But it's if we ever met someone who we trusted, then that would be an interesting way for the music to take a different direction. But yeah,
I don't seeing the results. I don't think you need one.
Yeah.
you seem to have a lot of freedom in your creativity and your writing and your recording and your being together and control over the final product and the label. So it seems like you can benefit from freedom, which is not it's not a ordinary thing for musicians.
No, you do hear about musicians complaining about how the record wasn't how they wanted it to be, how they were locked out of the mixing room, or the record label demanded this and this.
Yeah.
And we don't experience anything like that. It's the label. I mean, I think if we sent the label, something really, really weird, or they would probably say, actually, Bruce, we can't, like if I recorded my Hoover running around the house for an hour, then they would probably go, Bruce, we can't release that. But at the moment, they just seem to give us complete control. And, the artwork was something that Gavin found, that was an artist that Gavin knew, and they were happy for us to do that. So yeah, I must it's only when you mention it now that there's just absolutely no conflict with the label, and like you say, almost feels we have got complete artistic control. I've never really thought about it before, but yeah, you're right. Yeah.
We spend many words about the lyrics, but we must spend some more about the music, because the album reveals as a band product and capable of alchemy. I mean, between you, as you said it, but we can feel it in the album. The sounds are very refined, perfect for the contest, showing a perfect combo and not an indifferent background of the four of you. So what's your musical background? Yours and of the others.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because Gavin comes from a musical family. His father was a jazz trumpet player, and I remember Gavin saying that to me that he always knew he wanted to be a drummer since he was 4 years old, and he left school at 17 and became a professional drummer, and has never looked back, and that's been his life. Whereas I came from a completely opposite kind of family. There was no music in my family at all. And it was only when I met some friends at school when I was about 14 that they all were musicians, and they said, let's start a band. And I said, well, I don't play anything. So I went and bought a guitar, saved up some money, and just bought a really cheap nylon string guitar, and very slowly learnt the instrument. But I never, ever was taught. So unlike the rest of the guys who John and Steve, who can read music and know technically about scales and what you can, if it's in this key, then I can use this scale or this rudiment or whatever. That's all completely nonsensical to me. I haven't got a clue what they're talking about. I can't read music. I just do everything by ear. And I remember Gavin saying, me and Gavin come from completely different musical backgrounds, but we seem to be able to work together. So it kind of proves that you can come from that really classically trained direction where as a musician, and then you can come from like where I've come from, which is a self-taught doing it by ear. Everything's by ear. I don't know whether that helps with the writing process. I personally think it does. I think that when I hear something or I put some chords together, I don't want to be thinking about theory. I want to be thinking about what can I do now? Where can I go? What notes can I hear? as opposed to, oh yes, I can apply this, and this from this textbook. So yeah, it just seems to work. It seems to work really well. But like I said, Steve, the keyboard player, he's trained, and so's John, the bass player. He's spent many years playing in sort of big function bands. So it's a big sort of brass bands and big bands. So he's reading the music and things like that, which is, sometimes I wish I could do that. But yeah, that's our backgrounds.
In your background, there must be also a lot of reading. I think of you as someone who reads a lot, literature and whatever.
Yeah, yes, and I guess as a lyricist, yeah, you've got to and I do a lot of reading about the world. So a lot of sort of non-fiction, and that's where I really get inspired. People's stories and just trying to understand what the world is going through and what other people are going through, and then that really can help me try and write something that seems to be quite universal. Like, a lot of people come up to me and say, "Oh, Bruce, the music and the words really got me through a period." I was quite surprised how many people come up and tell me how connected they feel to the music, which is a really lovely thing.
But when you started to play, which were the musicians that inspired you the most, and do you have someone still inspiring you nowadays?
I think when I was growing up, I was probably at school in the late 80s. It was a bad time for popular music then, really. So I went back to the 70s. So I was listening to Pink Floyd and some of the progressive rock bands from the 70s, like Camel and Supertramp. The real melodic sort of poppy rock bands. I used to love them, and I used to love the Alan Parsons Project, and I really liked the guitarist in the Alan Parsons Project because he was really melodic, and every time he did a guitar solo, you could sing it. You could, and that's what as much as we always talk about the guitar when we're writing, because we didn't want to be a kind of go down the metal route and the progressive metal route. We wanted to stay a rock band, and a lot of people say to us, "Oh, why don't you get? Why isn't there more like guitar playing?" And it's like, well, that's just not what we do. We're not that kind of band. There's plenty of other bands that do that kind of thing very well. So when I approach the guitar, I'm always trying to think of a different angle, but it has to be melodic. It has to be something that people can feel, as opposed to just a load of notes going all over the place. So yeah, it's.
What do you listen to now? Do you still find the music is somehow challenging, or?
Yeah, it's difficult. I must confess, when I'm writing, I don't listen to anything. And because I don't want to be influenced by anything I hear. I really want to try and make everything I do come from as much as I can. Obviously, everything we do is informed by things that we've heard or experienced, but I do my best to keep apart from music when I'm writing. And then at periods like now when we're not writing, then you do sort of have a good trawl around and see what people are doing. But I think now I probably couldn't really quote anyone that I listen to and go, oh, I really want to do something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Last question. We'll see you live here in Italy in just next year, let's say. This year is a year of no concerts.
Yeah.
And you're gonna come here for 2 concerts, and then again 2022 for another concert in Rome. It's a long time to go, but you have planned a very, very long tour. How important is for you the live dimension, and more important, given the complexity of your sound, how you are How are you organizing the live set? Do you think it will be difficult to fully return some of the atmosphere of the album?
I don't think actually. I think when we were writing this record, we always had an eye to the stage. So we always thinking, how are we going to do this? And even though there is a lot going on, and it's as you said, when the record is quite deep in terms of its textures and the sounds. We've got we've got the live show quite well refined, and we've also got a really good touring guitarist called George Marios, and so we've got the ability to do it. And I think now that the band has become more successful. I mean, the last tour we did in Europe was the first time we'd been to Italy, so we didn't have any idea whether people would come and see us. And when we came to Rome, the venue, we hadn't sold that many tickets, and then all of a sudden, the week before our gig, it just sold out. So it was about 800-900 people, and people trying to get in at the door, and we were like, "Wow, this is brilliant! This is absolutely brilliant!" And so it was really nice to know that you can come to. People always say, "Come to Italy, or come to wherever," and we come, and then people don't turn up. So it was lovely that all of a sudden the band is becoming successful, and people are coming to watch us live, and they seem to be enjoying it, and we don't take that for granted, that's for sure. So yeah, it's lovely, and so yeah, we very much looking forward to coming back. But it's really really important, and the Italian crowds are really 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 energetic, really powerful. I get a lot back from them as a front man. Yeah, so looking forward to it.
We like to express our emotions.
Yeah.
We're not British.
No, you're not. You don't just do this. No, because it's horrible. It's horrible when you're watching people, and then you finish the gig, and then all of a sudden they go, "Yeah, that was brilliant. That was brilliant." But it's like I would appreciate just letting me know beforehand, so I can enjoy the gig. So yeah, we don't have that problem in Italy, that's for sure.
Okay, so you miss the live dimension very much.
Yeah, we can't wait to tour again. And luckily we get on so well as a band that it's just really good fun. You read these stories of bands that don't get on, and fighting in the backstage, and I couldn't imagine that. So we all can't wait to do it again.
Thank you very much, Bruce. We are waiting for you.
That's all right. Yeah, thank you. Yes. I'll see you soon, I hope. Yeah, when we come over. But thanks very much for the interview. It was lovely.
Thank you.